Here's what your Marvel Rivals main says about you. If you like this type of content, make sure to like and subscribe. When you're trying to main Adam Warlock, you're drawn to playing a healer, but only if it comes with the thrill of pulling game-changing moments. Like practically reviving your entire team, trying to pull off an insane moment. And you pray to do that every single match. And you also feel like you're doing the most for your team. And at the end of the game, you're gonna feel like you have the most healing done. But in reality, that's not really the case. You're practically just an ult bot. If you're maining Black Panther, chances are you're pretty mechanically gifted, and you know how to handle yourself in the game, and you love creating chaos. Your specialty is sneaking into the backline and being the most annoying person in the entire world. You're not all about racking up kills. Your whole point is to be public enemy number one, making the enemy strategist fear you. Now, if you're maining Black Widow, you're playing her for one or two reasons. Either you know Black Widow isn't the best pick and you could easily double your performance by swapping to a character like Hawkeye or Hela, but you're determined to prove a point to everybody so that you can make your own video in this game claiming that you're the number one ranked Widow. Or the other reason why you're maining her is because you like what you see. And no, I'm not talking about how you look at the enemies, but something else. Now, if you're maining Captain America, it's probably because you're overly patriotic. No, but in all honesty, you probably wanted to avoid the most obvious picks like Doctor Strange, Hulk, or even Magneto, so you landed on Captain America. Now, with picking Captain America as your main, you're less of a tank and more like a damage sponge, trying to get everyone on the other team to shoot at you rather than your other tank or the other players on your team. And maybe you might be a little bit of a masochist with the amount of shooting that you like, but that's just me. Now, if you're maining Cloak and Dagger, you're someone who enjoys multitasking. You like the fact that you practically have two characters in one. You've mastered the art of timing and balance, switching between characters at just the right moment. But that's not all, you also get a fantastic view while you're playing as Dagger. Now, if you're maining a character like Doctor Strange, you're probably a former Reinhardt main from Overwatch, or you literally played a tank with a shield in any other game, spamming your alternative fire to open and close your shield as fast as possible. And sometimes you might throw a portal around, either getting your team from point A to point B, sending enemies off the map, or maybe sometimes accidentally sending your team off the map. Now, on the last note, if I'm in your game, make sure not to let me pick Doctor Strange. I have a tendency to do some pretty bad portals. Now, if you're a group main, it's probably because you really wanted to play Duelist, but all the Duelist spots were taken up, so you went ahead and picked a Vanguard, and that Vanguard was none other than Groot. Groot mains are some of the most reliable teammates, with players putting the most perfect walls, and you may or may not have came to Fortnite, so you know how to full box people, but you rack up impressive stats in both damage blocked and damage. And let me tell you, a great Groot main can really carry a team, and you're the proof. Now, if you're maining Hawkeye, you've probably come from Overwatch and you used to main Hanzo, or at some point you were obliterated by a good Hawkeye player in quick play and thought, I could do much better. While you might not know every detail of his kit, you're here for those very satisfying headshots with the full charged bow. And let me tell you, nothing beats me as playing Hawkeye when he managed to land a full charged headshot from across the map onto an enemy strategist, and you get an elimination just like that. Now, if you're maining a character like Hela, chances are you don't like having your enemies have any fun in the game. Your sole purpose is to make the opponents miserable. Your gameplay is straightforward. It's practically a straight line. All you have to do is hold down mouse 1 and hold down W. But it's effective. Just keep targeting the right enemies and it's all forgiven. Now, if you're maining Hulk, probably one of the reasons you picked him is that you get to start out with your ultimate. And it's very fun to press your ultimate button right when the game starts and feels like you already ulted, but you also have the tendency to overestimate his durability. And another reason why you're probably playing him is with the team up ability for the Gamma buff. That being said, your gameplay is definitely entertaining to watch, but the moment you turn into Bruce Banner, you kind of turn into a monkey bomb from Call of Duty Zombies and everyone jumps on you. Now, if you're maining Iron Fist, you probably start out with a high difficulty character like Spider-Man, but found yourself outmatched. Then you found yourself not having the best mechanical skill to play a character like Black Panther, or you didn't have the best tracking skills to actually play Psylocke. So you settled for your next best option, which is Iron Fist. And you also might be seen as a little bit of a masochist because you want the enemies to shoot you, but again, that's just me. And if enemies actually learn not to shoot you, then well, you're kind of just stranded. Now, if you're maining a character like Iron Man, you may or may not have came from Overwatch and really love to play Pharah. And you decided, you know who also flies and kind of shoots rockets? Boom. Iron Man. You also chose Iron Man because you feel that a lot of players don't really look up, so that can give you a massive advantage. And because you realize the team up ability with Doctor Strange and Hulk is overpowered, you're like, might as well abuse it, and you haven't left since. And you also pray for the ultimate of a lifetime, wiping the entire enemy team, but that time rarely comes. Now, if you picked Jeff as your main, one of the reasons you picked him was that he's very cute. Well, that is certainly true, but you also understand that you picked one of the most universally disliked characters in the entire roster. And I will say probably a majority of your time is in the death cam because about the sheer amount of times you jump off the map with people in your mouth. And another reason why you probably picked Jeff is probably because you found those power washing videos where they power wash driveways and sidewalks very satisfying, and you thought Jeff the Landshark could do the same exact thing but instead to his teammates. I mean, to be fair, those videos are pretty satisfying. Now, besides having one of the strongest ultimates in the entire game, you probably picked Luna Snow because she heals and because you really love music. Sometimes I've never seen a character get so insta-locked in a match than her. And you may or may not have an addiction to K-pop, which there's nothing wrong with that, but it just seems like that's the stereotype assorted with this character. Now, if you're mainly Magik in Marvel Rivals, you probably picked her because of her giant sword, but we all know the real reason why you picked her. Now, in all honesty, you probably picked her because of her complex combos and the fact that she practically doesn't die. Even if you feel like you're about to kill Magik, all she does is hit you with one ability and boom, she has a shield or HP right back up. Feeling like an unkillable demon queen, probably sit there with your nails painted black, hovering over Magik so you can instantly lock her, knowing full well that a lot of people don't know how to play her. But regardless, you still insta-lock her. Now, if you're maining a character like Magneto, you frequently believe that Magneto is right. You'll use the sword as much as you can. Who cares if it's actually useful? It looks cool. And let me tell you, sometimes when I'm playing Magneto, I much rather just melee than popping up my shield or doing anything else. And you pray that the enemy team has a Punisher so that you can really rev up your ultimate damage. In a lobby full of insta-picking duelists, you might as well pick Mantis. But although you are good and helpful, everyone else loves Luna Snow a whole lot more. You can cope though, you know your own worth, as the whole purpose of your character now is really just a damage boost. If you're maining Moon Knight, chances are you grew up watching Despicable Me, and just like Groot, you have a weird obsession with the moon. You spend your time studying maps and studying the best choke points so that you can get the maximum value out of your Ankh placements. And you also probably love playing as Batman with explosive mental health issues, even though you don't know which attack button is which half of the time. You can't wait till Dracula is added and finally get your money back. Now, when it comes to Neymar Jr., no one for whatever reason can pronounce this right. You're settling on this character because Aquaman's not in the game and you have this character at a discount. And you probably picked him because you don't have the best aim, or you just really don't like doing anything in the game. You throw down your octopus turrets and then you simply go AFK. You're kind of like an engineer from TF2, kind of throwing down your turret and dispenser then just sitting down, and then occasionally maybe throwing a trident or two and possibly popping an ult whenever you have it up. And after you throw your ultimate and a Doctor Strange blocks it with his shield, you then become very depressed and start thinking, maybe I should pick a different character. Most Peni mains are pretty chill, which I highly respect, but I will say it becomes a very big problem when you're trying to push through a choke. There happens to be a Peni on the other team that actually knows what they're doing, as well as you're the queen of collateral damage and love the Spider-Verse movies so much, but you wouldn't mind a few other vanguards. Now, if you pick Psylocke as your main, it can be rather difficult playing with one hand. Trust me, I know. You are stealth and your speed. You are really wishing your pentakill ult charged faster. You're also glad that the thirsty fans mostly migrated to Malice so that you can insta-lock Psylocke a whole lot more. Welcome to Marvel Rivals, you picked a great starting character. That of course if you're maining the Punisher. Otherwise you got a turret syndrome and always forget you're still vulnerable during your ult. With 2 miniguns and a rocket launcher on the back, you honestly feel you're invincible. Little do you know that there's a Magneto that was waiting for this exact moment. Now if you're maining Rocket Raccoon, I firmly believe you're underappreciated as a strategist, even when you have, I would say, some of the best support. If nothing else, at least the Winter Soldier and Punisher mains adore you. Or maybe your ADHD brain, this is no offense to anyone, just a joke, but maybe you love watching the healing orbs bounce off the walls going back and forth. I know I sure do. If you main Scarlet Witch, you really love simplicity, as well as the simple life of not needing to aim at all, always having an escape skill, and I would say a mediocre ultimate, but of course you always believed that a little more health would be nice. Now, if you're maining Spider-Man, it goes one of 2 ways. You're either completely useless and a hindrance to your team, and you might as well just swap to a different character, or you watched way too many Necro videos and you're the absolute menace of the bronze lobbies. And honestly, there's really no in between. Now, if you're maining Squirrel Girl, you might have some attraction to things with tails, but besides that, you also feel like reminiscing about playing Demo Man from TF2. So you pick the best thing that has some sort of resemblance, that being a girl who's a squirrel that launches acorns that explode. Now, you probably pick Star because he's so agile and cool with a great ult. But don't get me wrong, that's definitely a solid reason to pick him. Now you just wish you weren't made of tissue paper. Now Winter Soldier, a solid pick who is armed and dangerous. You just want to play him again and again. And sometimes you do miss it and you're kind of useless at that point. But maybe you picked him because he kind of resembles Roadhog in a way with his hook. Now if you're now maining Storm in Season 1, that's great for you. You didn't understand the pain and struggle maining Storm in Season 0 like I did. But nevertheless, you are loving the Season 1 buffs. You still need to learn that her her auras are a sphere and fly lower so that strategists can actually heal you. Or maybe you could actually turn on your comms and ask the Luna on your team to use the share the stage on you. Now, maining Wolverine, you want better healing so bad. You only recently realized though he's meant for fighting vanguards and not diving into the back. You also have a really strange addiction of kidnapping people. Now, I'm not sure if that's something I should actually be worried about, but just in case, I've contacted your local authorities. Expect your restraining order in the mail soon. For Mr. Fantastic, you probably tell dad jokes all the time and love his goofy forms. Trust me, I do too. But honestly, I would be careful. Mr. Fantastic is a gateway to enjoying vanguards. Mr. Fantastic, not even once. For Loki players, you'd kill for his teleport to a copy ability to have a little bit of a longer range. You also tend to screw up your ult and get something you don't want because another player ran in front of you. Trust me, this has happened a lot. And you usually pick a DPS ult, even though picking a support ult is definitely the better choice. Now, last but not least, we have Invisible Woman. Most of the time, people can't tell you and Dagger apart unless you're using the Malice costume. Sorry, I got a bit distracted there. You're one of the single most irritating opponents if you actually know what you're doing. But I will say, healing with one hand is pretty hard. Did you think I would miss you, Venom mains? Don't worry, I didn't. You love not dying, but you wish everyone would stop shooting at you because honestly, you don't like being shot. And you hate the fact that you can't get blue Venom because you ended up missing the beta. Now with Thor, chances are you picked Thor, well, because he's the god of thunder. Now you're a parent or a older sibling, depending on who you're playing with, and maybe you don't really like Thor's kit that much, but Captain America and Strom need their team up abilities, so you kind of pick Thor. Or you pick Thor and you actually know what you're doing. Good for you. And let me know in the comments down below what type of main you are. Do any of these relate? If so, why? And if you could please do me a quick favor, the best way to support me is by hitting that like and subscribe button, as it lets me know that you enjoy my content and you want to see more. But regardless, I hope you enjoyed and I hope you have a great day.